Ladies and gentlemen, champions in the making, let me tell you something that can change your destiny right here, right now. You were not born to stay the same. You were born with the unlimited potential to reinvent, to reignite, to rise. But too many of us spent our lives pouring into others, trying to please people who wouldn't even clap for us if we won the gold medal of life. Today that ends. Today you draw a line in the sand and say, I choose me. I make me the priority. Because, hear me when I say this, if you don't prioritize your own life, someone else will prioritize it for you, and it won't be in your favor. Most people are afraid to face the truth about where they really are. They don't want to look at the bank account. They don't want to step on the scale. They don't want to acknowledge the broken dreams, the lost time, or the missed opportunities. But the first law of real transformation is simple. You cannot change what you will not confront. If you truly want to reinvent yourself, you have to begin by telling yourself the truth. Not the pretty version, not the filtered story you tell the world, the truth. You have to be willing to say, this is where I am right now. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, without shame, without excuses, without blame, just honesty. But, and this is crucial, once you acknowledge where you are, you must refuse to be defined by it. You are not your mistakes. You are not your limitations. You are not what happened to you. You are what you decide to become from this point forward. Too many people build permanent identities around temporary circumstances. They say things like, I'm just not good with money, or I'm always the one who gets left behind, or I can't lose the weight because it runs in my family. No, those are stories, not facts. Stories can be rewritten, and when you refuse to let your current situation become your permanent address, you take back the pen and start writing the story you were born to live. You must understand your circumstances are not your master. You are the architect. You are the creator. Every step you take in the direction of truth and decision builds a new foundation for the future you want. You are never stuck because of your past. You're only stuck when you believe that your past is bigger than your power to change it. When you get crystal clear about where you are, you create the foundation for real confidence. Clarity is power. When you know exactly what you're dealing with, exactly what needs to change, your next move becomes obvious. Confusion leads to procrastination, but clarity creates momentum. Let me give you a quick example. A few years ago, there was a young woman named Lisa who was drowning in debt. Credit cards maxed out, student loans unpaid. She hated her job, felt stuck, and was avoiding looking at her bank statements because it made her feel sick. For months, she pretended it would somehow fix itself. But one night, sitting alone in her tiny apartment, she did something powerful. She faced the truth. She printed every account statement, every bill, and wrote down the ugly, painful numbers. She looked herself in the mirror and said, this is where I am, but this is not who I am. That night she made a plan, not a perfect plan, but a plan rooted in truth and fierce commitment. Fast forward 3 years later, Lisa had paid off every single debt, built a thriving business, and lived in a house she once only dreamed of. Why? Because she was brave enough to acknowledge where she was without letting it imprison her. She refused to build a life around a temporary defeat. That is the power of seeing your reality and choosing to rise above it. That is the power of clarity. Reinventing yourself doesn't require you to have it all figured out right now. It requires you to get brutally honest, plant your feet firmly in the ground of truth, and then sprint toward the life you were designed to live. Not someday, today, right now, because the moment you stop being afraid of where you are, you unlock the power to go anywhere you choose. Most people move through life hoping things will get better. They wish for success. They hope for happiness. They try to juggle everyone else's needs while silently putting themselves last. But the truth is, transformation doesn't happen because of wishes or hopes. It happens when you make a non-negotiable decision to prioritize yourself. A real decision, not an emotional moment, not a half-hearted attempt, but a full, unwavering commitment to put yourself first, to honor your time, your energy, your well-being as sacred. Prioritizing yourself is not selfish, it's stewardship. When you take care of you, when you fill yourself up, when you become your strongest, wisest, healthiest self, everyone around you benefits. But when you neglect yourself, when you run on empty, when you give everyone else your best and leave yourself with leftovers, you cannot serve anyone at the level you are truly capable of. You can't pour from an empty cup, but you can overflow from a full one. Deciding to prioritize yourself means you stop asking for permission to rest, to grow, to dream, to heal. You stop explaining yourself to people who benefit from you being too tired to rise. It means you draw the line and say, I will no longer betray myself to keep others comfortable. Your health is a priority, and making yourself the priority is not about neglecting others. It's about showing up in every room as the best, most powerful version of who you were created to be. Because when you are full of life, full of purpose, full of energy, you naturally elevate everything and everyone around you. Let me give you a real world example. There was a man named Daniel who spent years working 2 jobs to provide for his family. Every decision he made was for others. His health deteriorated. His joy faded. His dreams sat on the shelf collecting dust. But he kept telling himself, it's for them. It's what a good father, a good husband does. Until one day, Daniel landed in the hospital from exhaustion. Laying there, hooked to machines, he realized something powerful. By neglecting himself, he had almost removed himself from the very people he was trying to serve. In that hospital bed, Daniel made a decision, not a wish, not a hope, a decision to prioritize himself. He set strict boundaries around his time. He began exercising, eating better, and taking 1 hour every morning to read, pray, and plan for his personal goals. At first, people resisted. His kids complained. His coworkers were frustrated. But Daniel stayed firm because he understood something most people never realize until it's too late. When you prioritize yourself, you are not taking away from the people you love. You are giving them a better version of you. Fast forward 2 years. Daniel was healthier, happier, more successful, and more present with his family than ever before. His marriage improved. His relationship with his kids deepened. He started his dream business on the side and created a new legacy, not just of hard work, but of wisdom. Why? Because he made a non-negotiable decision that he mattered to. This is the kind of decision that will separate you from the crowd. Most people will live and die wishing they had made themselves a priority, but not you. Today, you have the chance to decide, to say, I am worthy of my own best attention. I will not apologize for investing in myself. I will grow, I will heal, I will expand, and I will overflow into the world from a place of abundance, not depletion. That is how you reinvent yourself. That is how you build a life of purpose and power, not by accident, but by decision. One of the most powerful truths you can ever accept is that who you were yesterday has nothing to do with who you have the ability to become today. Too often, people chain themselves to an outdated version of their identity. They carry the weight of their failures, their heartbreaks, their traumas, and wear them like invisible shackles that keep them trapped in a life far beneath their potential. They repeat old stories in their minds. I'm not good enough. I always mess things up. I'm broken. I'm unlucky. It's too late for me. But none of those stories are facts. They are simply the echoes of a past that only has power if you continue to feed it with your belief. The truth is this: you are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are not your pain. You are the limitless possibility of who you choose to become starting right now. Reinventing yourself starts with recognizing that the old labels, the ones that were given to you by parents, teachers, exes, society, or even by yourself, do not define you. They never did. You are not bound by the name you were called or the identity you were forced to wear. You can rip those labels off at any time and step into a new way of being. That's the beauty of being human. You can rewrite the narrative of your life at any moment, but you have to first stop identifying with what went wrong. You have to stop introducing yourself to life as a victim of your circumstances. Instead, you declare, I am not what happened to me. I am what I decide to become. When you change the way you see yourself, everything outside of you begins to shift. Opportunities you once thought were impossible start to appear. Relationships that match your new self-worth come into your life. Doors that were once closed begin to open, not because the world changed, but because you changed. You started showing up differently. You started expecting more. You started believing that you are worthy, that you are powerful, that you are capable of more than what you've been through. Let me give you a real example. There was a man named Marcus who grew up in a rough neighborhood. He failed out of high school, got into trouble with the law, and by his early 20s, everyone had written him off as a lost cause. For years, he believed the same thing about himself. I'm just a screw-up, he told himself. This is who I am. But one night, sitting alone in a cold, empty apartment, something inside of him realized he was tired of living the same day over and over again, tired of being a prisoner of a version of himself he no longer wanted to be. He made a decision that night to break the shackles of his past identity. He enrolled in night classes. He started reading books about success, about leadership, about faith. He cut off toxic friendships. He began treating himself like a man of value, even before he fully felt like one. It wasn't easy, it wasn't overnight, but day by day, Marcus reinvented himself. 2 years later, he was not just thriving personally, but also mentoring young men from his old neighborhood, showing them by example that the past only holds you if you let it. You are no different. Your past is not bigger than your purpose. Your mistakes are not bigger than your mission. You have permission to become someone new, to evolve, to rise, to step fully into the life you were created for. But it begins by shedding the heavy labels and believing, maybe for the first time in your life, that you are free to be limitless. Your future is not written by your history, it is written by your decision. Choose today to break the shackles and walk boldly into your greatness. The greatest battlefield you will ever face is not out there in the world. It's not the economy, it's not the competition, and it's not the people who doubt you. The real battlefield is the one between your ears, your mind. Everything you experience, everything you achieve, everything you become is first filtered through the story you tell yourself in your mind. If you win the battle in your mind, you will win in life. If you lose it there, nothing outside of you can ever truly save you. Mastering your mindset relentlessly means you take ownership of every thought that comes into your mind. You don't let fear, doubt, and negativity take up free rent. You stand guard over your mind like your future depends on it, because it does. It's not a one-time event. It's not a motivational high that fades by Monday morning. It is a daily discipline, a decision you make every single day to choose faith over fear, possibilities over problems, and solutions over excuses. Your mind is like a garden. If you do not intentionally plant good seeds, weeds will grow on their own. Left unchecked, negativity will take root, fear will spread, limiting beliefs will choke out your dreams. But when you deliberately sow the seeds of possibility, when you feed your mind with books, wisdom, affirmations, faith, vision, and gratitude, your inner world transforms, and that transformation spills over into your outer world. Success in life is 95% mindset and only 5% mechanics. The strategies, the skills, the steps, they are important. But without the right mindset, you will sabotage yourself before you even get to use them. You can hand two people the exact same blueprint for success, and one will soar while the other struggles. Why? Because of the difference in how they think. One sees obstacles as opportunities. The other sees them as stop signs. One believes that failure is a lesson. The other believes that failure is the end. The difference isn't in the resources they have, it's in the resourcefulness of their mind. Let me give you a quick example. There was a young entrepreneur named Sarah who launched her business with excitement but quickly ran into setbacks. Her first product flopped. Customers left bad reviews. She could have given up, and many around her told her to quit and get a real job. But Sarah had trained her mind to see every problem as a puzzle to solve. She didn't internalize the failure as a reflection of her worth. She simply saw it as feedback. She studied the market, improved her offer, and worked relentlessly on her mindset every single day, reading, journaling, visualizing, speaking life into herself even when the circumstances looked bleak. Fast forward 2 years, Sarah built a thriving $1 million business, not because her first idea was perfect, but because she mastered the battlefield of her mind. She refused to let external failure become internal defeat. Of knowledge is the truth. I know what everybody should be. Every morning you have the choice. Are you going to be a prisoner of your thoughts or the architect of your future? Mastering your mindset is about being relentless. It's about getting up every time you fall. It's about speaking faith into your life when fear tries to silence you. It's about believing that your destiny is bigger than your difficulty. Every morning you have a choice. Fill your mind with the fear of what could go wrong or fill it with the faith of what could. Train your mind to see the opportunity in the obstacle, the gift in the challenge, the strength in the struggle. Because once you master your mindset, success doesn't just become possible, it becomes inevitable. Your energy is your most valuable asset. It is more precious than money, more important than opportunity, and more fragile than most people realize. Every dream you have, every goal you want to achieve, every breakthrough you desire, all of it is fueled by your energy. And if you are not fiercely protecting it, you are slowly, sometimes silently, bleeding out the very power you need to change your life. Energy leaks kill dreams. They don't always show up in obvious ways. Sometimes they come disguised as people who constantly drain you with negativity, doubt, and drama. Sometimes they show up as obligations you feel guilty saying no to, but deep down you know are pulling you away from your purpose. Sometimes they show up as habits and patterns you tolerate because they're comfortable, even though they are costing you your future. If you want to reinvent yourself and make yourself the true priority, you must learn to say no without apology, without guilt, and without needing to explain yourself. Every yes you give to something that drains you is a no you are giving to something that could grow you. Time is finite, energy is finite. You don't owe everyone access to your life just because they ask for it. Access must be earned. People who respect your boundaries, who encourage your growth, who fuel your fire, they get access. Those who only take, who gossip, who complain, who sow doubt, they do not. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. If you tolerate disrespect, you teach them that it's acceptable. If you tolerate energy-draining conversations, you teach them that your time and mind are not valuable. Protecting your energy is not about being rude. It's about being responsible for your future. Protecting your energy also means being mindful of what you consume, what you listen to, what you watch, what you read. All of it is either feeding your spirit or draining it. You can't afford to start your day scrolling through negativity, complaining, or fear-based headlines and expect to step into your purpose with boldness. You must feed your energy the way a warrior prepares for battle, with intentionality, with discipline, with focus. Because every day you are fighting for your future, and you cannot win if you are drained before you even begin. Let me give you a simple but powerful example. There was a woman named Andrea who had big dreams of launching her own coaching business. She had talent, she had passion, but every time she made a little progress, she found herself exhausted, distracted, and doubting herself. Why? Because she was surrounded by friends who didn't believe in dreams. They constantly reminded her of all the risks, all the reasons it wouldn't work. They laughed at her ambitions, mocked her vision, and pulled her into endless drama. Andrea tried to balance it all. But eventually she realized she had a choice, her dream or their drama. She made the hard decision to create distance. She didn't hate them. She didn't make a scene. She simply stopped answering every call. She spent her evenings building her brand instead of babysitting their insecurities. Over time, her energy shifted, Her confidence grew, her business launched, and within a year, she was thriving in a life she once only talked about. Andrea didn't get lucky. She got serious about protecting her energy. You must do the same. Your dream is too big, your calling too important, your time too short to waste it on anything that weakens you. Set standards, not just goals. Standards for who gets access to your mind, your time, your heart. Protect your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. Every single day, whether you realize it or not, you are casting votes for the person you are becoming. Every choice you make, what you listen to, what you watch, what you say, how you react, is either an investment in your future or a withdrawal from it. Time is your greatest currency. You can lose money and make it back. You can lose opportunities and find new ones. But once you spend your time, it's gone forever. That's why living with intention is non-negotiable if you are serious about reinvention. You don't drift into greatness. You don't stumble into a powerful, purpose-driven life. You build it. Day by day, choice by choice, moment by moment. Investing in your future self daily doesn't mean you have to make massive leaps every day. It's not about working 20-hour days or burning yourself out chasing the dream. It's about small, consistent actions compounded over time. Read a few pages of a powerful book every day. Listen to people who are where you want to be instead of those stuck where you've been. Speak life over your dreams even when the evidence hasn't shown up yet. Get around greatness, not just in person, but through podcasts, videos, books, mentors, and environments that stretch you. Because what you feed your mind, what you expose yourself to, is quietly building your internal blueprint. And that blueprint will determine the size and strength of the life you create. Verse 1, every day you are either getting better or you are getting bitter. You are either getting stronger or you are getting softer. There is no neutral. That's why you must choose growth daily, even when it's hard, even when you don't feel like it, even when no one is clapping for you yet. The reward is not immediate, but it is inevitable if you stay consistent. Small hinges swing big doors. Tiny, repeated investments in your future create compound effects you can't even fully imagine. Most people overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a year, but if you plant the right seeds daily, you will look up one day and realize you have built a forest of success where others only have weeds of regret. Let me give you a quick but powerful example. There was a man named Leo who worked a dead-end job. He hated it, but he had responsibilities, bills to pay, a family to support. Every night after work, he was exhausted. It would have been easy, understandable even, for him to just crash in front of the TV and escape. But Leo made a different choice. Every night, even if it was only 20 minutes, he studied marketing and business strategies. He listened to podcasts about entrepreneurship during his commute. He found a mentor online who shared free content and applied every lesson he learned piece by piece. Over time, the knowledge stacked up. The skills grew, the confidence increased. 1 year later, Leo launched a side business. 2 years later, that side business replaced his income. 3 years later, he had the freedom he once only dreamed about, all because he made daily, seemingly small investments in his future when it would have been easier to do nothing. You have that same power. It's not about luck. It's not about background. It's not about waiting for the perfect time. It's about how you choose to spend your minutes, because minutes become hours, hours become days, days become years, and years become the legacy you leave behind. Make your future self proud. Make daily deposits into the life you want to live. Every small hinge matters. Every vote you cast for your future counts. Stay faithful to the process, and the results will chase you down. Gratitude and expectation are two of the most powerful forces you can activate in your life. Gratitude grounds you, it roots you deeply in the awareness that you are already blessed, already equipped, already surrounded by miracles if you would just take the time to see them. When you live from gratitude, you are no longer operating from lack, fear, or desperation. Instead, you are standing firmly in a posture of abundance. You recognize that while you may not be where you want to be yet, you have already been given enough to start, to grow, to move forward. Gratitude softens your heart, clears your vision, and makes you receptive to more. It's a magnet for blessings because what you appreciate appreciates. When you are thankful for the little, you are trusted with much. But gratitude alone is not enough to create the life you dream of. You must pair it with expectation. Expectation elevates you. It lifts your gaze from where you are to where you are called to go. It pushes you to think bigger, dream deeper, act bolder. Expectation is the belief that something good is on its way, even when you can't see it yet. It's the invisible hand that pulls your future closer. When you operate from expectation, you don't just hope good things happen. You know they are happening, and you move like it. You talk like it. You walk like it. You prepare for the breakthrough before it even arrives. You don't ask if it's coming. You ask, am I ready for it when it does? Every day, you need to practice both gratitude for where you are and expectation for where you're going. Start your mornings by giving thanks for your breath, your mind, your gifts, your opportunities. But don't stop there. Declare over your life with boldness, I am favored, I am powerful, I am walking into my destiny. Your words shape your world. You move in the direction of your dominant thought and your dominant confession. If you're always thinking lack, speaking fear, confessing defeat, don't be surprised when your life mirrors those beliefs. But when your mind is full of gratitude and your mouth is full of expectation, you set yourself on an unstoppable path toward growth, success, and fulfillment. Let me give you a real-world example. There was a young woman named Jasmine who dreamed of being a best-sellered author. She worked a job she didn't love, and every night she would come home too tired to write. It would have been easy for her to get bitter, to complain about her circumstances, to let her dream fade. But Jasmine made a decision every morning before she even got out of bed. She would speak out loud 3 things she was grateful for. Then she would declare what she was expecting. My book is impacting lives. Opportunities are finding me. I am stepping into my calling. Even though nothing had changed on the outside yet, something was shifting on the inside. She carved out 30 minutes every evening to write, no matter how tired she was. She believed her breakthrough was already set in motion. Her job was to prepare for it. A year later, Jasmine self-published her book. It didn't blow up overnight, but her consistent energy of gratitude and expectation opened doors she couldn't have forced open herself. An influencer picked up her book and recommended it to their audience. Sales exploded. Jasmine went on to become a full-time writer, living the very dream she once spoke over herself daily. The same principle applies to you. Gratitude grounds you, expectation elevates you. Stay thankful for today while remaining hungry for tomorrow. Speak life over your dreams. Guard your thoughts. Watch your words. Because you are always moving in the direction of your dominant thought and confession. So make sure they are leading you where you truly want to go. Listen to me, champion. The world has been waiting for the full version of you to show up. Not the diminished version, not the discounted version, not the maybe one day version. Reinvent yourself, prioritise yourself, become the person you were created to be now, not later. Because your dreams are counting on you, your destiny is waiting on you, and the clock is ticking. Let today be the day you stop being your second choice and start being your first commitment. Because when you make yourself the priority ever, you don't just change your life, you change generations. Thank you.